I won't filter it, this update was kind of bad. Sure, we got some cool new content, but oh my god did it break the game. Like, the new hitboxes are just so janky. Sixer's probably the most 50-50 killer in this entire game. What even are some of these new maps? And Vee is probably the most broken survivor that they've ever added. It seems like most updates we get break the game, but this was definitely a deal breaker. With that said, I'll be going over all of these issues and kind of explaining why they're such big problems, how they affect the game and whatnot. Also, before I do get into this, I am feeling a little sick, so sorry if I sound a little different throughout the video. But anyways, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Let's start off with the worst of the worst, at least in my opinion. These new hitboxes make playing killer feel even more insufferable than it already was. Whenever I play anything that's not Sixer, I'll more often than not notice the red parts of my visible hitbox going right through the survivors without hitting at all. I don't really get high ping anymore either. Like, my ping rarely goes above 70 these days, so I don't know why this would happen so much, apart from the new hitbox update. I mean, like, sure, no ASIM game has perfect hitboxes, but the new system really feels like a downgrade, and it puts Forsaken's hitboxes in a state where it feels like they're even worse than other games at times. And this doesn't really just apply to killers, as when I'm playing a sentinel, again, more often than not, my visible hitbox will go right through the killer, but for some reason it just doesn't do anything. It's also not really fun to play against these new hitboxes, as they could seemingly hit you through half of all the walls in the game now, and for some reason are almost doubled in size from the actual visual hitbox that you can see. Sure, the old system before the update had its issues, but the new ones genuinely make the game unfun. Maybe I just need to get more used to them or something, but honestly, this change seemed very unnecessary, and I don't even know why they did it. Again, I've gotten hit through walls, which has been made clear should not be happening. I think the new hitbox system, like, heavily prioritizes higher ping players or something. I don't remember, but whatever it's doing, it is not working because I should not be getting hit by half the things that hit me. Anyways, the next thing I want to talk about is Sixer. This character is just super overpowered, and unless you know the counters to him, you're pretty fucked if the Sixer knows what they're doing. There's no out-stamina managing him unless you're using a good loop or Veronica, who even with her skateboard can easily be killed by a somewhat competent Sixer. You might be saying, well, I have my abilities that can save me in the chase, and to that I say Sixer can almost always keep a 10% minimum speed boost in chase, and unless you're a good sentinel, you will not be able to counter that. Even if you do land a stun as a sentinel, Sixer is bound to just end up right behind you again. So was it really worth the 3-second advantage? Probably not unless you run to a decent loop. And don't even get me started on Blood Hunt. This ability applies almost every buff to Sixer for potentially the entire round if they play their cards right. Stun immunity, speed, constant ESP, and the ability to do over 100 damage if someone's had hemorrhage for long enough is just insane. Sixer's M1 is a little busted as well, as it has a second attack dealing up to 30 damage if you land it. Oh yeah, and this also applies hemorrhage, which basically just means you can't heal, and the longer you've had hemorrhage, the more damage it does in Blood Hunt. Also, just about every loop you'd usually use against any other killer is completely useless against Sixer. So running to loops is not really a good option unless you know the loop will work. And this brings us to another issue with Sixer. Why is Sixer useless against these little loops? I let my friend who's an M4 on Sixer use all of his speed boosting abilities in Blood Hunt, and he still couldn't kill me. I looped him for like 6 minutes in some of the loops, so imagine how well they would work against a lesser experienced Sixer. This character is probably the most 50-50 killer, just like I said earlier, just because if someone knows how to use these loops, you probably won't be winning. But if no one in the lobby is none the wiser, it's just a free win for the Sixer. The next thing out of the big 4 problems I'll be talking about is Veronica. She single-handedly makes every killer that's not Sixer trash. Her skateboard ability has 3 modes, one for escaping, one for offensive uses, and one for grinding battery. At least that's what I use it for. That's right, she's basically just the multi-tool of Forsaken survivors. She's so broken on some maps like Brandon Works that all it really takes is 3 of them and you're just not winning. This is one of the only survivors I target if I saw them first. Or at least if I see them in general, as their moveset's just too OP, and all it really takes is like 20 seconds of prep time for them to gain full access to their kit. It's like 2-time all over again, but this time it's even worse, as this somehow got past testing and was somehow deemed as fair against other killers. She can just hide her spray paints in certain walls, making them invisible, or at least practically invisible, effectively meaning the killer just won't really be able to destroy them because the killer can't even notice them. She also makes Elliot's useless, as he just can't heal her, meaning if you play Elliot and you're in a lobby that has more than 3 Vs, you basically can't heal half the server for XP or the ability to gain Rush Hour. And without Rush Hour, Elliot is basically just a sitting duck. I think V's passive single-handedly changed how healing works in a sense, as now traditional healers, again like Elliot, can just be made ineffective. I think Elliot mains are very slowly gonna start disappearing, similar to Bilderman or Dusakar mains, till eventually there's just none of them. V instead heals through her battery, which is just a glorified Chudletsky chicken, but it still somehow gets worse, as she can just recharge this battery after using it by doing literally anything with her skateboard. For some perspective, if you add all the charge up I've managed to have, I've gotten over 200 HP in a single match. Like, how is that any fair? V also has a lot of speed techs that just get her across certain maps in literally seconds, meaning the killer just won't catch you unless you sell. And before anyone comments saying just destroy the spray paint, again, you could put it in places where the killer can't even see it. Hell, you could put it inside the walls of certain maps if you try hard enough. And this is not including maps like Pirate Bay or Underground Ward, where you can literally just put it diagonally going up or down, meaning the spray paint can literally be below the fucking ground. Like, how's the killer supposed to prepare for that? Sure, it's obvious if they go down there, but if they're above ground chasing you, what are they supposed to do? This literally wastes like 10 to 20 seconds of their time to destroy. Now, the final thing I'll be going over in this video is just how unbalanced some of these new maps are to play in. Like, sure, they look cool, and I can see the concept, but why are they all only designed with Sixer and Veronica in mind? They're all much more open with lots of obstacles, which makes them horrible for really anything that's not Veronica or Sixer. There's also a lot of elevated ground, which is, again, another problem. I know a few Noli mains, and they've told me just how bad it can be sometimes to play Noli on these new maps. And I myself, being someone who doesn't really enjoy the looping problem on Sixer, have experienced a lot of these unbalanced maps on other killers. And let's just say it's not really fun. 1x is pretty bad due to all of these maps having extremely elevated ground, like I said earlier. The survivor can just exploit this easily. And John Doe, who is probably hit the hardest, just can't really use traps in some of these maps. I guess they can, but it's kinda hard to do so. Certain maps are just too open. Slasher and Sixer are probably the only killers who aren't really affected as much by this, seeing how they're both brute force styled killers and don't depend much on the map when using their abilities. Sure, there are some good loops against Slasher, but there's a lot of worse ones on the older maps, so I'm not really that upset. You could say Cool Kid won't be affected as much either, but I mean, like, his walk speed override does kinda get affected by all these corners. I've seen pro Cool Kids just lose the ability to drift in certain maps because of all these little ledges you can get stuck on. So I mean, like, I guess it really just depends on your viewpoint. At the end of the day, this is really just all my opinion, and it's just a few things I've noticed while playing in the Sixer update. Let me know down below if there's anything you feel like is also breaking the game or just making it unfair at this new update. And yeah, also feel free to subscribe as I'm trying to grow my channel. Currently, I've been a little down in the gutter, but with all said, this has been Wendigo, and I'm going to sleep now.